theoretically, I guess. Check, check, check. All right.
Listen, I only laugh on command if it's unhinged.
Chances.
This is fair.
And we
is,
are
you know
live here at Plus
Yeah.
One EXP's Roll for Content channel. My name is Tony Vicenda. I'm Chief Alchemist here at Plus One EXP, which is a weird little brand that multi-classes in tabletop game design, beard, and skincare alchemy in the Bardic College of Content Creation. Our hope and desire is to help amazing designers find great players who love their games and amazing players find great designers whose games they can love. We usually do that by playing one-shots, but over the last few months, we have been playing an ongoing campaign of The Between in partnership with Gauntlet Publishing and some amazing folks. If you have been following along, you will notice we are one person lighter tonight. Langfisk, you're not going to get any letters from down under, or fun Americans don't like them, but everybody else does expletives thrown out probably tonight. Maybe I don't know. Maybe somebody else will bring that energy. Who knows? No. Okay. We've had a couple weeks off on hiatus. While we did American things, I guess is the best way to describe it. Watched a debate, watched some fireworks, and we're probably sad most of the time. Let's kick it over to Jason. Jason, why don't you take us into The Between?
Yeah, so why don't we just do a quick recap of what happened last time? So last time we had a really eventful night phase where it seemed like the reality of all across the city, like there's all kinds of strange reality distortions going on that is connected to this play, The King in Shadows. And that happened in really grand fashion inside of Hargrave House as well. Two of your active threats really kind of pressed in on you that night phase because Sally No Face also invaded Hargrave House in order to throw a party. It was a really interesting, chaotic night, and my thinking on it is, we sort of touched on this last time, but my thinking on it is that as characters, you will remember the night being incredibly strange, but maybe not like remembering the specific, sort of like movie making details that were going on. So if everyone's okay with that, I think that's probably the right way to handle that strange moment. I did decide to go ahead, this is new information, I did decide to go ahead and kind of memorialize the events of that night by giving you clues for both Sally No Face and the King in Shadows. So you have a new clue for the King in Shadows, which is the strange events in Hargrave House that seem to suggest another reality was intruding. And then for Sally, Sally invaded Hargrave House in grand fashion for the express purpose of getting hold of Lord Grey's face. That became, that didn't come out super explicitly until kind of towards the end, but that was the idea. We also saw, sort of out of character-ish, we saw that Mrs. Brathwaite is now aware of the other big development last time, which was Dr. Aspectum bringing the child to life. And so Theodora has been the entire sort of the running theme of her activities this campaign has been she's clearly trying to master or otherwise wrangle life and death. She has this interest in life and death. It's unclear if she wants to create life or prolong life or who knows, or master death, but she is very, very interested in the work that Dr. Spectrum has done. She's very interested in the work generally that Hargrave House is doing, and she's had some involvement in some of the threats that have been going on. She also happens to have the Whately camera in her possession, if I remember correctly. And that, there was some, I feel like that came up last time a little bit, but I can't remember exactly
I do
how.
remember, we actually, I believe, are now aware that she has made contact with the creature.
That's right. Yes, that's exactly right. So there's a lot going on, right? You are really, really close to being able to confront Mrs. Brathwaite. And I think the way I'm going to do this, so for folks who are watching and who care, and I suspect the people in chat are going to care a lot about this because they are hardcore between players, all of them. We're changing the way the mastermind works in the eventual Kickstarter or backer kit, I should say, edition of the game. and we're kind of altering the way that's going to work structurally and in terms of like what you're supposed to be doing. And I'm going to kind of do a little bit of that for this campaign. And what I'm going to do is once we achieve 12 mastermind clues, and you have 11 so far, I'm going to pose a question to you all about what do we think Theodora is actually trying to accomplish? How is she trying to take down the crown? And then you'll be able to use the clues you have to answer that question. That's a variation of what we're going to be doing with the game in the future, which is you'll have that question at the beginning of the campaign and can always be kind of working on it, so that the mastermind clues don't just function as a timer. They also have like there's a sort of threshold mystery you're trying to resolve. And so, yeah.
And if people want to hear more about that, they should go listen to the Pizza Time episode.
Yes, of the Darkened Threshold. Yeah, we talked about that a lot. Yeah, we are really, really shaking up what Carve from Brindlewood means.
I'm so excited about it,
yeah. So that's sort of what's kind of going on there. Also, the creature of Cremorne Gardens is still an active threat. We determined that it's just looking for love in all the wrong places. It wants companionship. And if I remember correctly, Septimus had the plan to go, deal with that. But things got a little interrupted by the events of last time. So that still has to be done. And so we're going to swing over into our day phase. I was talking to B before we started recording while we were kind of waiting on everyone to get here. And I mentioned that I really would love to really do I really want to do some playbook move work today, especially for Lord Grey, but I'd like to see a little bit of a little bit more of what Septimus can do. We see quite a bit of Nox's playbook stuff, and so Tony, that's not so much for you, but I would really like to focus on that.
No playbook
but for Dr. Spectum, your playbook moves are always firing off because they're passive. One thing I want to focus on for Dr. Spectum, though, I really want to start to figure out what it means to have the child in Hargrave House and how that affects the work you do. I think it'd be great if we have a scene where the group meets the child officially, formally. I think that would be good to do. I do wish Langfisk was here for that, but that's okay. I could see
I'm
a
excited
little
about
one-on-one.
everybody meeting the child and then Langfisk meeting the child.
Yeah. While we're kind of keeping the conversation at the sort of player level, I mean, are you interested in role playing the child, Tony, or do you want me to do it? I'm okay either way.
Question. Yeah. I'm also pretty okay feeling it out or looking scene to scene what makes the most sense.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I'm very. I don't know an answer to that. I don't know that I want to play out the child when I am in a scene with the child. I think would be my thing. I don't want to have. I'm not the genius.
You're not gonna role play yourself, yeah. We'll feel it out. I think. Well, let me just ask you this then. Like, how much do we think they came into the world with like the power of speech or the ability to understand their environment? Like, are they like truly like a fawn here, or are they stumbling around on awkward legs, or do they have something already?
I think there's probably a little bit of the like there is definitely some sort of non-human, probably unnerving wisdom to them while still being largely naive about the way that humanity works at the moment. I'm very comfortable with memories and other things resurfacing or awareness being brought up as it's narratively interesting. But I do think the interplay is like them learning about the world. So I do think we want to keep a sense of a little bit of wonder in play.
A sense of wonder. That's what I was thinking, because like if we think about, like, this was inspired by on Penny Dreadful, the first episode of Penny Dreadful, and the spoilers for Penny Dreadful, the short-lived child in that show, there was this like sweetness to it, right? There was this like sense of like teaching it. And so I kind of like the idea of keeping it on that like kind of sense of wonder, kind of sweet level. But who knows? But the day move and the night move might have other ideas. So we'll see how it all kind of plays out. Okay, great. That was a good convo. Let's figure out what we're doing for the day phase then. If you haven't marked new dawn questions, you should go ahead and do that. And we don't need to introduce any new mysteries or threats, rather. So I think we can kind of just get going. Do we still have to resolve a resurrectionist move?
I believe we do, and I'm trying to think back to 2 weeks ago. I know we didn't send him out for a body part.
Well, no,
we
it's,
probably
you
have a
know.
weird valuable that has come back and probably did no blowback or complications, I believe.
Okay, fantastic. Just think about what that is then.
We can actually just throw it to chat because we ask another hunter normally.
I love
so
it.
Chat, tell
Yeah.
us what valuable the grave hunters brought back. I'll put it in my quarters as an item.
Let's go around the table. Lord Grey, you don't have the benefit of Langfist today, but the day is yours. If everyone is thinking of, I think we should probably have a scene as a group with the child to start, but once we get past that, what are you thinking about for today?
Well, I feel like, I mean, I ain't trying to super die, so confronting Sally or trying to find her without Langfisk sounds dumb because she's trying to steal my face. So, the King in Shadows thing, didn't we like did we answer a question about that or not? Or are we still like
No, you still
investigating
have
that?
you still have the basic question
Okay.
of what signs precede a performance of the play and where will it appear next. It's a fairly easy question,
Okay.
complexity too.
So, yeah, like are there other places I could go other than the place I've already been?
Yeah, let's fill out some leads really quick, based off what we know about this threat already. So one thing we could do is we could certainly go to the last location that it was known to be in, which was Ranelagh Chapel. That is certainly.
I believe that was where we went last time.
Oh, you
That
did go
was
there
where
last
it-
time. That's right. You've done that already.
That's where
Well,
Langfist stripped
in
the
that
carpet up.
case, we do have. Did you go to Bedlam yet?
No, I
don't
did
think you-
not.
Yeah, so there's Bedlam because we have two people who had connections to the play kind of go crazy and got thrown into Bedlam. So that is an option. There's also just a general like weirdness happening all over the city that I think you'll be aware of. And so it could be very productive to just sort of go out and kind of be in the city.
Yeah.
Especially for you more supernaturally inclined characters, right? Some sensitivity style investigating might be in order.
Fabulous.
We also know about this. We know about this pub that only appears at night. Can't do that in the day phase, but that is another thing. So
Yeah. I like the idea of like instead of taking like a hansom cab or something towards Bedlam, just sort of like waltzing through the city, maybe with my fellow hunters towards it to see what there is to see.
check out the vibes. Yeah, I'm
Check
into
out the
that.
check the vibes, see what's going on.
Tim, what do you think about for today?
I mean, I wouldn't mind going to Bedlam. Like, if we want to link up at People Watch, like we walk to the place and like.
I think that could
cool,
be fun.
cool, cool.
Oh man.
Dr. Spectum, maybe a little jaunt to
Yeah,
Bedlam
so-
to show the child what the city
I
is like.
I do owe a Mask of the Past also too,
Oh.
and I already had a vibe with it, and I think going to Bedlam is going to be just some really solid. Knox doesn't know what he's doing as a parent symmetry.
Oh
So
please.
I love that. I believe. I think I will probably already be up, making coffee in the kitchen with the child, and because they need to learn how to make a good cup of coffee. Like there's not an excuse to not know. So,
How are they dressed, the child?
I think well, but in kind of an ill. I love the idea of like something of Lord Grey's that has been discarded, like something great forever ago, right? That Knox was like
Last seasons.
like
yeah.
what my child will eventually need clothes. Like Lord Grey has great taste. It had
Maybe just remind us physically, like kind of what we're all kind of imagining here.
so
We haven't spent much
we
time
are
with this
looking at
character yet.
a light brown hair. I think older teen-ish young woman is kind of the look. Fair skin, but largely from the fact that they're largely built from other people's flesh that was out of the sunlight for an extended
Let's
period
paint the
of time.
scene. Let's paint the scene, everyone. As you all come down How can you tell that this new resident of Hargrave House was constructed from body parts of other people?
The footprints are slightly different. Like with the coffee grinds and possible flour, one is slightly bigger than the other.
I think like the way the outfit is fitting on the shoulders, at first it looks just a little lopsided, but you can tell it's actually like kind of caught on maybe like a ridge from being sewn up, like sewn together, like a scar, like a almost like a keloid scar ridge that has rumpled it. And there's like you can kind of like just faintly see some places where this little friend has been sewn up. Probably not like super obvious unless Knox is like unless Tony thinks that would be a
No,
fun
I mean I
time.
think good. I mean good stitch work
Yeah,
and
very
like
good stitch
like this
work.
this won't like it won't necessarily
high quality.
scar like scar heavily, but like I think the concept of them still healing is great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
You
there's a
get the
moment.
vibe.
I think like there's this like sort of situation where, you know, you're teaching the child to pour hot kettle water over the coffee, you know, in the coffee pot or the grounds or whatever. And I imagine that there's a certain like kind of awkwardness in the motor control that makes it a little bit like kind of an Edward Scissorhands kind of situation, you know. And there's a moment where the child like accidentally spills the kettle on her hand, and maybe some of you even like react like, oh my god, but she does not. Like the hot scalding water is bubbling the flesh, but she's just looking at it like curiously, like it's an like what a strange, you know, thing. What do you do, Dr. Aspectum, in that moment?
I think there's the immediate like lurch to like take care of the child, but then I think I noticed this kind of analytical taking in of the wound. Does it hurt?
Yes.
Okay. And I get some water on a rag and wrap it around. How does that feel?
Good.
You have to be careful. Go slow.
And I think she's continuing to like, you know, kind of go through these little steps that you had kind of laid out for her. And there's also a moment where she also doesn't like they don't know their own strength. And they take a teacup and they're trying to like set it down in the gentle way that like you showed them, and they just smash it. It just like smashes into shards. And again, there's no like startled reaction from the child. It's more just like this observing what happened. And yet you can still see that there is a pink tear welling up in their tear duct.
Some things are more delicate than others, and I'll put my hand on the silver of the coffee pot and be like, this this would be hard to break and just kind of knock it over, and then I'll pull up another saucer. I said, but other things will just, and I just smash it on the edge of the table. Other things will break if you're not careful with them.
This might be a good opportunity for Lord Grey and Septimus to intervene or in the scene here. Role play.
I have a really important out of character question first, though. Tony, did you tell us about this kid?
No, you have
Have
no idea zero information
fabulous.
about this.
I I'm so glad. Okay, that's all I needed to know. Thank you. I think like I don't know, Tim, have you been watching this with me? Because I think like at first I noticed someone wearing like my 2 seasons old clothes, and that's weird. They're with they're with Knox? Who is this? And but I haven't said
Um,
anything. I'm just watching. Like, looking at you and them.
Doctor, I didn't know you had a niece, grandchild.
Certainly not a grandchild. This this is Hope, my child.
Oh, uh, you know, you never mentioned
A
a
woman.
child. Yeah, or a woman. Yes, correct. I don't. Other people. I don't
Yeah.
think.
Like some others, Hope's genesis is not quite as straightforward as some of us.
I'm typically one for riddles and extractions and like this is not lining up. Like, not to say I have a timeline for you, but it's not.
Mm.
She's very pleasant.
She is observant and learning. I was thinking we might go out for the day. Did y'all have plans?
Septimus, the entire time, Hope is staring like over your shoulder, and sometimes her eyes follow something behind you, and then like something else.
They turn around once, maybe like the third time.
I
Once
mean,
is playful, twice is curious, three times that's something.
I think, you know, she at one point she points like over your shoulder and says, "Them."
I'm sorry, dear. What?
Them. They. And you will feel the entities that linger. They are aware of each other. The child keeps, like, not reacting with fear, but curiosity.
Mm-hmm.
Something about their construction, something about the way they were made. They can see the entities that are always with you.
Are you? Mhm. Maybe a walk would be nice with all of us.
Yes, I would love to get to know Hope since
She
you've
she
just
hasn't been
so.
outside yet, so I mean, I
I,
assume today would be a
what
good
do you mean by that?
opportunity.
Knox, you can't just keep saying things like this. What do you mean?
Um, Hope, I mean, Hope hasn't been outside yet, and I mean, in this state, certainly parts of her have been, but not in a while for most of them.
Everything you say about this gets more and more upsetting. I hope you know that. I know this is Hallgrave House, but what do you mean pieces of her? What
You
do you, what do
can't.
you,
At first, I thought you were talking about some sort of coming out ceremony as a young. Well, this is not. You can't do that in pieces. This is.
I mean, it's been a few days for the face and the hands.
Oh Christ.
I mean,
Oh God.
I mean, Patrick's blood hasn't been out in a few months. It's been up in the laboratory.
You have. Why do you have some of his blood?
I mean, I don't. Hope does.
Okay. Oh, of course. Yes, of course. Your child. Yes.
It's- I
I'm
mean-
sure this is. Is she fit? Is she okay to go outside
Certainly.
in the? Okay.
It's
At
not
a
going to
certain
overwhelm
point-
her or anything. She's not.
Hope is still looking over your shoulder, Septimus. And at one point, she just says, "No, that would be bad."
Can I just take a second to tune into the conversation she's having?
I think it would be fantastic if you would. Let's roll the day move.
Ugh.
What do you afraid is going to happen right now in this situation?
One of us is going to be overwhelmed by this spirit.
Hmm.
Either her or me.
Yeah, that sounds good to me. Roll with sensitivity if you wish to keep, to keep going with trying to figure out what is going on here. Roll with sensitivity, and I don't think your conditions apply.
Well, that's fine because that is a 16. Not 16. A 14. I was like, wait, all these dots?
Wait, that's one higher than possible.
My God.
You can tell that the dark entities are trying to negotiate with Hope right now. They are trying to offer Hope. They're trying to explain to Hope what it means to be human in exchange for Hope going into a certain part of Hargrave House that they're very interested in. And once they realize you're listening, then they clam up. I owe you a bonus because you got such a high roll. And I think that bonus will be... Here's the bonus. You will be able later on to go to this place in Hargrave House that the entities are very curious about, if you wish.
Okay, cool.
You can kind of listen to them, observe them in your way, and figure out where they're talking about. But for now, Hope has rejected their offer wisely.
Now, darling, let's pour a cup for everyone.
Right, yeah, that's a mess. Coffee going everywhere.
Yes.
Is there anything else we want to do in this scene, or we feel okay with that?
I think actually, because I don't imagine, unless Tony correct me, but I don't imagine this is the best. It's of course it's Lord Grey's clothes, but it's not the best outfit. It's probably not there's not accessorizing. There's not a lot of that.
Oh no. Yeah, you are 100% looking at this child thinking, "Oh my God, this child cannot go out like this more than
Exactly.
likely."
And
Yeah.
I'm just I think actually I don't even address you, Nox. I
That's
look
great.
at Hope and I'm darling, can I please get you a different outfit? That is just that's not we can't.
And Hope just turns her head at you, kind of like a dog that doesn't really quite know what you've said. And then she reaches out her hand and touches your cheek. Pretty.
Thank you. Thank you. And he just kind of dude, like you're he's not mad because he's okay, I get what's kind of going on here, and I'm just gonna kind of treat her like a cute little maybe a show poodle, and I'm going to get you different clothes. This is Nox, we have to fix this. And he just leaves and goes and grabs her something else.
I love it. Well, why don't we fast forward then a little bit? Um, Septimus, do you want to continue going to Bedlam, or do you want to go see what the entities are up to and very curious about?
I mean, I guess it'll be best because I don't want poor precious Hope to be influenced. Not to say that there are not like spirits everywhere, but mine don't need to fuck with her. So I'll just snoop around the house.
Very good. Um, then we'll have Tony and Lord Grey, or I'm sorry, Knox and Lord Grey. um,
No, Tony's here now.
King of Shadows, who knows?
I think
Yeah.
King of Shadows, actually.
that could be.
That'd be
I'm
great.
changing your Zoom name.
Oh my God.
We have Knox and Lord Grey then going to Bedlam. Let's talk about the streets of London. I think on the way from Belgravia all the way to Bedlam, this is a fairly long walk, but you're getting to see the city in all of its variety, from the decadent to the destitute. There is a preponderance of street performers now. It's almost like every 10th person you see is a street performer of some sort. There are buskers, there are actors, there are jugglers, there are people doing cartwheels, there are little kids singing songs. Let's paint the scene to start. How can you tell all of these performances are an attempt to please the King in Shadows?
The smiles of most of the performers, as you look at their face, do not reach their eyes. There's a sense of desperation as they grimace at the people in front of them.
I think actually I'm going to bounce off of that. We see one street performer, they're on stilts, and they've clearly been at this for a long, long time. And we watch them collapse. No one reacts.
If a person isn't physically to the point of exhaustion, you can see various liquids of the body, blood, sweat, tears, staining these clothes because they are that eager to please and perform.
Everybody keeps freezing for me. I don't know if it's me or
no.
what.
Just you, nothing on my end so far.
Okay. Oh yeah, it says my internet connection's a little wonky, so hopefully it'll smooth out.
It's the King in Shadows, baby.
It's King in Shadows, I'm telling you. Well, let's keep going with this. You keep going down the streets, you see all these performances. You are perhaps now more than ever, or more than you ever have been before, aware of the labyrinthine nature of the city. It's like the whole city is a vast palace filled with corridors. And just as there are people trying to perform for the King in Shadows, there are others that are trying to hide themselves from the king. Let's paint the scene there. What are people doing to hide themselves from his gaze?
We see people stripped down naked, having painted their bodies yellow or wearing as much yellow clothing as possible, trying to ward off the darkness of the King in Shadows.
Oh, I love it. Oh. Didn't mean to mute myself. I think we see someone like frantically trying to cover up all of the mirrors in a shop.
There's a few desperate people pretending to be dead, like lying on the cobblestone or in the grass. very, very still.
Thank you. Septimus, the entities were trying to possess Hope in an attempt to travel through the house at their leisure. But they're just as happy to go with you if you are willing to take them where they want to go. But in any case, you can deduce what they want. They want to go beneath Hargrave House. They're aware of a way to get below Hargrave House, but lower even than the basement. A sub-basement perhaps, or maybe something even more obscured. Something deeper. Do you seek this place out?
I do, and I would also like to use a move.
Which one?
Which is covered, just to bring a pendulum and a candle.
Very good. I like it. I will... You can have those out. And I don't need you to roll. I'll let you find the way. They lead you, or your tools really lead you down to the servants' level, down further to the basement. And then in particular, you find yourself in the corner of the basement. The basement's quite big. It's as wide as the house itself. There is a corner of the basement where the masonry is cracked open. There is a crack in the wall and the floor, and you can feel a draft coming up from this, what's essentially a hole in the basement. The entities want to go down there. What do you do?
I think they approach the crack, kind of like skim the roughness of the stone. I mean, why do you need me personally to go down there? You can just go, can't you? Well, let's do something you're afraid of. Are you scared? Scared, dudes. Like, just bullshitting with them at this point.
Yeah. I think that there's no response because they're doing that thing where they're waiting with the demonic spirit equivalent of bated breath. Like they are on the edge of their seats. They want to know what's happening here. What are you going to do? And that's when you'll be aware of something else. They're only aware of this hole because there's something in the hole talking to them that's reaching out to them as well. What do you do?
Came down here, now I'm edging demons, and now they're talking to other people. This is ridiculous.
It's what happens when you play with the ghost hole.
Yeah, right?
I mean, this could be a good use for a thinning of the veil also. I mean, just to see what's going to happen here.
Yeah. Oh, wait a second. My dice were very good, and then they could be very bad. Why not? Yeah.
Do you pull out your tarot cards and consult them to see what's going on here?
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to mark one of the tools that you brought to get advantage on the roll?
I'll use the candles since they have additional uses. The pendulum is like one and done.
Oh, got it. Fantastic. And you're going to roll a sensitivity with advantage. And let's see how you do.
All right.
Sensitivity with advantage.
Oh, God. Big money, no whammies. All right. Okay. Perfect. That is a 12.
On a hit, you may ask what is about to happen. You have that in your pocket. You can use it whenever you want. On a 10 plus, you may also ask, why is this about to happen? So you have these questions in your pocket as you explore this space, if you go in there. And on a 12 plus, furthermore, you'll find a clue. You have all sorts of reasons to go down in the hole if you wish.
Yeah. I will go ahead and burn what is about to happen.
Going down into the hole, you are going to discover a secret prison set up by former hunters in residence.
That's terrifying. Just to let you know that. Crap. Okay. Yeah. I'm just gonna swear very, very quietly and just maneuver into that crevice.
Fantastic. It might be a night move, but at some point it will be, but I'm not quite yet. I like where we're headed at this point. And I will give you a clue at some point as well. Let's check back in with the others. Knox, I'd like to get just to, like, before we get into the sort of investigation aspect of this, I'd like to just get a sense of how are you teaching Hope, like, what the city is like? Like, I'm also extra curious about this. The city is behaving strangely. That might be something that I think Lord Grey would certainly be aware of, and Septimus would definitely be aware of it if they were there. But like, is Dr. Spectum aware of it?
Look, if we've learned one thing about Knox at this point in time, it's that he is not aware of it.
That's what I was wondering. Yeah.
I think it is a mix of a couple of things. It is his normal. If he does not understand the immediate intent with which he needs to be acting, he is disengaged. But his focus is also very clearly on watching Hope, and I think with we first of all, in a second, B, we are going to need to know what the fit is.
Don't worry.
As we see Hope, right? But I think right now we've seen the general sense of this thing. We see Nox kind of animatedly like explaining as they pass the person in the stilts, right? Like he is explaining what a center of gravity is and why this failed, right? Like there's a very like this is a moment of education and awareness, and explaining really from his mind how the world works in the most literal sense, and even asking her like probing questions as they pass a street magician, like how does she think he did the trick? Like there's a little bit of a back and forth to see if she will offer or can intuit some of the different little beats that are happening as he is explaining things also too.
I love it. That's great.
And as we see Hope reflected in Knox's eyes as he looks down at her, what outfit is Hope wearing?
Yeah, Lord Grey, what is Hope wearing?
Well, I think he has given her more, in his opinion, in fashion. He dresses a bit avant-garde for the Victorian current standards, but so she is also dressed a little avant-garde. She has one of those like little capelets, I believe is how you say it, those little capes, like kind of like on her shoulders. It's like this beautiful dark crimson. She has like high gloves on that are like, they're not like opera gloves, but they're like a little softer than that, a little more casual, but they're still very high. It's this, and he actually did have this sort of like, it's very like whatever the Victorian version of gender neutral would be, because he has a wide variety of clothes. And she's got like, I think he even found maybe some boots that fit her. Like he worked his ass off to try, he maybe stole some stuff from other residents to make sure there were things that would fit her. But it is all of this red and gold, these lush fabrics. Like she looks like, when he mentioned the coming out party, he was like, okay, we're doing it. This is it. And maybe got a little too into it because he doesn't have like any actual real affection, but it is an event. So
I love it. Well,
So
The
no,
king in
to answer
shadows.
your question, Knox does not know this.
Yeah. Like yeah. Lord Grey, I think you probably are though. You probably are aware of like how the vibes are incredibly off in the city right now. What do you do?
Well, I think actually, I like when we pass by someone who is like either pretending to be dead or collapsed, I just step over them because it is the city and this is like, you know what? We got other shit going on. It's fine. This isn't our problem. But I am like really hyper vigilant about it. Like I am like watching these people. These aren't like fun performers. These are threats. And I'm like
Mm.
occasionally looking back at Knox, like waiting for him to say something. Like, because I don't think we've been out together a lot.
I
We've
think this
hung
is
out,
the
you know.
first time we've been out together that was not in a larger group, and maybe even then, I think.
Yeah, I think this is like, so I'm like, I don't know how you are about this. So I'm just like waiting for you to mention this to me or to your child. Like, just kind of like, you know, like,
Do you say anything, or you just
I think,
it's expected?
I think there's a long time where I don't say anything. And then eventually it's just when we're maybe past these performers, a little closer to, you know, where we're going to go. Just, you did see that, right?
Which one?
The all of it.
Oh,
You know what I'm talking about, right?
I can see him like tracing back through like active memory of this, like he was just kind of passively taking it all in. Um, certainly. I mean, more street performers than normal.
Thank you. Okay, that's a start.
Yeah,
That's
I mean,
a start.
the bodies would normally be interesting, but since none of them are actually dead, then I mean, they'll eventually move on. I mean,
You just see people doing that in the street all of the time. This is not unusual to you. I thought you were.
usually it's a ruse to get you to pull close, but I mean,
I have never seen that in mass.
well, I mean, not in mass, but I mean, um, the. Let me. Sorry, Twitch just went out of mind. I'm trying to make sure the stream is still fine. Okay. Um, the No, but I mean, so I'd love to. I think, I want Knox to think about this. Basically, in the mode of like what they've seen, the weird oddities that he's kind of passively taken in, kind of how they're moving about the city. He would probably think about it in the way, like almost like, hey, is this akin to the way a virus or sickness moves through the city? Like he can identify,
shit.
yes, that these things are odd. It wouldn't necessarily occur to him to comment on it or call it out because he just doesn't care. But I think when pressed on it, yeah, I think he wants to think about it kind of like, is this some sort of viral or response or illness that's spreading through the city?
Why don't you go ahead and make the information move with reason? And Lord Grey, since you were kind of doing your own version of that in some sense, I want you
Yeah.
to make it with composure.
Okay, okay. Love this.
dealing with all these all these commoners.
These godforsaken commoners and
Yeah.
their weird shit.
That
get
would
some
be a
dice on the table.
14 on my
The
end.
dice are
Good
kind today.
Christ.
Dice are kind.
That's a 6 for me. So
The dice taketh
The dice
away.
giveth, the dice
giveth, and
taketh.
the dice
They giveth and
away.
they taketh away. All right, we'll keep all that in mind. Let's check in with Septimus one more time before we take our first break. Oh, Septimus. You get into this little crevasse, this crack in the wall, and for a time, you're kind of sliding down a somewhat steep but not complete, not a straight drop, but like a kind of tight angled slide down a very like a gap. And it eventually deposits you down into somewhere beneath the city. It's a part of the city that is, you can see in the distance, even in the darkness, because there's probably, well, there's a reason why you can see, which we'll talk about in a moment, but you can see in the distance what looks like sort of half like masoned like tunnels or something, you know, but the space you're in is just like cave. It's just pure underground cave, and it's really big. The reason why you can see what's going on is because there is a large orb hanging in the middle of this cave space that looks like the moon, and it glows like the moon. And it gets worse, or better, depending on your point of view. Sitting around this orb in a very, very wide circle, there are dozens of people sat in high back chairs in a circle all around the orb. These people are dressed in finery, though not of the present day era, something more like kind of 17th century. They're dressed in finery, you know, satin breeches, um, powdered wigs, that kind of thing, right? They're all sitting in these chairs, their heads slumped down, and they're sitting in a circle around this large glowing orb. And here I would like for you to make the night move. What are you afraid is going to happen right now if you lose your composure?
I might have to pull up a chair.
Very good. It's worse than that. You will also free the prisoners. Go ahead and I'm gonna invoke the Gossamer realm here as well and put you at
Yeah, I was given a
disadvantage.
yeah, okay.
It's gonna be a disadvantage.
Oh gosh. Okay. Mm, that is 6 exactly. 2 threes.
I've got 2 misses on the table, 1 really bad miss on the table, and a clue with a bonus potentially for Knox. Let's take a 5-minute break at this point, Tony.
We'll be back in just a few minutes to keep on playing the Between. And we are back exploring the streets of London in the between. And yes, a ghost hole.
I don't know if it's quite a ghost hole, but
Ghost hole.
since you got a miss on your die roll, Septimus, I'm going to take over the fiction for a bit. You walk closer to this circle of people dressed in finery, sitting in high-back chairs. Dozens of them. It's a very wide circle. Urged on, perhaps, by the entities that are always in your peripheral vision, that are always lurking. As you get closer to the circle, you realize that in the center of the circle, on the ground, illuminated by this strange moon, is what appears to be an enormous pentagram. And inside each of the segments of the pentagram are hundreds more etchings and carvings in the rock, all these strange symbols. And there is, in fact, one empty chair. And you walk around the perimeter of the circle. And as you walk around the perimeter of the circle, these people in their powdered wigs, their lace collars, their cravats, and their waistcoats and velvet jackets, all a little faded and frayed. As you walk around the outer edge of the circle, they twitch. They try to turn their faces up as if to notice you. They shift. They're clearly aware of you or the entities. And you sit in the empty chair. And the moment you sit in the empty chair, you feel a lightness unlike any you have ever felt. Your entire life, you've had these creatures, from the moment of your conception, these creatures have been near, these entities, these spirits. You've never felt what it's like to be free of them. But as you sit in that chair, you feel them flying away from you and flying into each of these individuals sat at these chairs. They all sit up at once. Their eyes are blazing red. They let out guttural roars. They have enormous fangs. Their jaws stretch. Their hands stretch. Their fingernails twist and grow to be claws. And they all stand up as they are tearing out of their finery. As they are looming, they're growing bigger. And you are sat in the chair. And then they thank you for your service by feasting upon you. Your blood, your flesh, your bones is the succor that will allow them to escape this prison once and for all, and to explore this new city. Unless, of course, you put on the Janus mask.
I was about to say, we're running out of playbooks. I can't do this again. I'll come back as a ghost. No, I'm going to put on a Janus mask. And I owe a mask, apparently. I marked the mask in the past. I have to narrate. But, ugh.
You could do it now or later as you wish, but...
All right. I'll do it later. Jeez Louise.
Putting on the mask, we love that. That means your roll will be a 7 to 9 instead. There might be there are definitely going to be some complications. You're not getting out of this completely clean, but we'll come back to the scene in a moment. Nox, You get a clue. I like the idea of you sort of applying an analytical approach to all this stuff that's going on right now in the city. And I would like to say, I think the thing that's going to be a clue, you recognize a disheveled and disoriented member of parliament. Somebody you will have seen maybe at some social function in the past, or maybe it's some person that Hargrave House has had interactions with in the past. But this member of parliament sort of stumbles toward you and just seizes you by the lapels, Knox, and he says, I've seen it. I've seen it. Doctor. You are a doctor, yes?
Yes.
I feel quite overcome with something. Do I look flushed?
Does he look flushed?
He does, yes. Quite sweaty.
You're perspiring fairly heavily and slightly redder than normal.
I do not know what has overcome me. It is some sort of infection, I would say, Doctor. An infection that is spread through the eyes. I saw it, and now it is inside me. Am I going mad, do you think?
I just look deep into his eyes. Is there anything distinctive about them?
He does look sick.
He looks sick,
Yeah.
but like slightly dilated. Nothing,
Sure.
nothing odd beyond just the normal.
Oh yeah, no, like he's not glowing or anything.
No. I just didn't mean to know if they were beyond just possibly a little dilated or something. You do seem to be somewhat out of sorts. Would you like an examination?
Here on the streets?
Why delay?
Yes, I suppose that is very wise. Yes, seize hold of the trouble and shake it until it is no more your concern. That's what I say.
I reach into my bag, and I pull out the thickest, heaviest patella that I have stuck down in there, and I just clock this guy across the head.
Just push him into an alley.
Yeah, this is like it's a push off, but I mean this is 100% like you can tell there's a defensive position between me, Hope, and this weird member of parliament who has come up, and so this is literally just in the whole like, oh yeah, people sometimes pretend to be dead to draw you near. I'm like, yeah, let's do an examination just to like knock this guy out.
You do get your clue, though.
Yeah.
Your clue is that a member of parliament claims to have, quote, seen it and believes they have been infected by it.
Oh my God. I want you to know, I'm assuming you just did this in front of God and everybody and me.
Well, I have some thoughts.
Yeah, do
for
tell
Lord
me.
Grey.
Do tell me before that, though. Because if so, we might
Lord
be better
Grey,
friends.
I think you find yourself no longer within eyeshot of Hope and Dr. Aspectum. You have gotten yourself into an alley, and you are presently surrounded by a group of people all wearing very dark clothing. And masks that are either comedy or tragedy face masks. And they speak, "All hail the first and final king." And they get a little closer to you. "All hail he who shall rule hereafter." And they get even closer. "Hark, he comes. O Dispotter, O Father of Darkness, we dedicate this pantomime to your eternal rule." They're very tight in now. They have raised daggers. What do you do?
I'm like, I want to use a move here, obviously. But I don't know. Do they count as side characters if they're dangers?
They are dangers and they do not count as side
I didn't think
characters.
so.
Yeah.
I didn't think so. So I think I'm going to get something from the collection instead. I think this might be like a mirror of Nox's thing of what we saw Nox do. Let's see. I don't think there's actually in here that I haven't used before. So, or is this something I can mark a? What do you suggest, y'all? What do you suggest, chat? Because I know we want to show off moves, but I'm also gonna fucking die here. Ugh, theater people.
If only you had someone
Something to save
protecting you.
Yeah,
Somebody
I
you
was
just step in
like,
right
I
at this
recognize
moment.
this even as like a character. I'm like, I
Wouldn't that
don't.
be so crazy?
That's. I don't have anybody protecting. You know what? Actually, I know exactly what I'm going to do. This is exactly a mirror of what we see with the scene in Nox. Is that okay? At first, for the first two, he's like, "Yes, I'm here. Hello, yes, me," and then it's like, "Oh, you're talking about that other motherfucker."
They're talking about somebody else.
God damn. And now I'm pissed because, excuse you, I thought you were some of my followers, not this other clowns. And so I also reach into my bag. I think actually in the movie that is this game, we flash between the two hands reaching into the bag, and he pulls out this like really intricate chalice, the Holy Grail itself, and just whaps a dude across the head with it.
you were bringing the Holy Grail to Bedlam.
Yes! It was. I thought it was going to be useful in other ways, but
You have this chalice,
You brought
and you
it
just.
I have a
to knife
chalice.
fight.
I kind of like the idea of if you just like hold up the Grail, it might like stay their hands, right? Because there are a lot of them.
Oh fuck! Yeah, oh yeah, no, I didn't think I was going to win. I assumed I was going to be just terribly injured. Or
I mean, I think
something.
what will be interesting is if you have this chalice, which may or may not be the Holy Grail. It is definitely the Holy Grail. You have this chalice. What might you do to get them to back off? Or
Okay, all right. You're not gonna. Because I think I brought it for.
I mean, you could just
bribery
attack one
purposes.
too.
Oh no! No, if that's
You
it.
club the first one down, and then
I kind of love the idea of whapping one across the face, maybe not even knocking them down because he's not that strong of a man. And because I brought this thing for bribery for sure, because I assumed I was gonna have to, I don't know, bribe a guard or something, and this is like, ugh,
Holy
it's.
Grail.
I don't give a shit what it is.
So great.
It was just a pretty cup in Lord
I'm
Gray's
cool.
collection.
I am cooler than Jesus, so like it doesn't matter. And I think after I like whapped one across the head to at least interrupt the chanting, he has this. Maybe it's even a little bloody now because he did cut them with it's so bejeweled. And just that's enough. If you want someone to worship, pick someone worthy, not some clown who hides in the shadows and makes other people perform for him.
Interesting. I think this is
He's
going
competition.
to be the day move. What do you afraid is going to happen if you do not convince them to back off?
Oh, they're gonna stab the fuck out of me. And they're gonna see this is a little bit of a bluff.
Yeah, I think that's probably fair. if you want to have the power of this chalice on your side, you can certainly mark it to get advantage on your die roll.
Oh yes. Oh yes.
And let me take a look at your conditions. I think you're good on that.
You know what? Actually, no. I'm not gonna mark it.
Oh,
I
okay.
have other
Just
plans. I have other
roll
plans.
2d6 plus probably I think it's still presence. So yeah.
I was like, yeah, I got my one stat,
Yeah.
my singular stat that is useful. Oh hell yeah. That's an 11.
Nice.
Didn't need that advantage.
Be thinking about what it looks like when you get control of this situation. I'm going to check back in with Septimus. Septimus, we rewind, and instead, I think we still see you walking around the perimeter of this circle of seated people. And you have company, more than just the dark entities. It's a boy. Now, I don't think Septimus ever met the Limehouse Lurker, but it's the Limehouse Lurker. This pale little boy, but you're sensitive to these things enough to know that this is a creature. This is an ancient creature. The boy is walking alongside you, and he says, "I've seen them before. Long ago, probably 200, 250 years ago. They're called the Court of Wolves. Of course, when I saw them last, it was in France. They were hiding in the village of Versailles. I do wonder how Hargrave House managed to get them here."
Well, I don't, I don't know, not particularly, and I don't know you, um, sir. Is there a good title for you?
My name is not important. I've had so many over the centuries. I don't even remember what my original name was.
For the sake of this conversation, would you like a name?
What are you going to do with them?
Nothing. I'm going to go back and I'm going to say to the curiosity of my companions, this does not concern me.
And he stops at the empty chair. And he's sort of like running his small hand along the carved wood arm of it and walking around it casually. What do you suppose will happen if I were to sit down?
I don't want to find out.
And he just leaves a little smile. He kind of just smiles, a small smile. And he's not going to sit. And if you leave this situation alone, then it'll be something that you know exists beneath Hargrave House, and you can do whatever you want with that information. I do think, however, I'm going to give you a condition. It's going to be called the Court of Wolves. You already have 3 conditions, and so that means you must mark another Janus mask, and you're going to replace marked by the creature with the Court of Wolves.
All right.
Not the Court of Wolves.
How are you feeling right now?
Perfectly spooked. I think there is like this nausea in their stomach, not necessarily like the need to vomit, but like just sick and clammy because it's something new, and she's seen everything. So just for someone who like seen it all like in heightened realms and see something they don't understand is like not great
Yeah.
up here.
Indeed. We'll leave it be for now. Knox, what do you do with this parliamentarian, or this member of parliament, rather?
I mean, I slump him off next to some of the dead bodies. Like, this was 100% a like kind of out of character response, just sheerly protective, because I was very uncomfortable with the way, like how intense he was being. So this is literally just a knock this guy off out in the chaos and just lay him down on the
Yeah.
ground. I
I
probably like
think
there's a little like even straightening and like positioning of like trying to make it look as natural as possible
Yeah.
and be laying on the ground next to this other person.
there is. I owe you a mastermind clue because you got a 12 plus on your information move. This is going to be your final mastermind clue for the campaign. It's Mrs. Brathwaite. She has clearly been following the two of you. And she says, well, it seems everything is coming to a head, Dr. Spectum. What is your scientific opinion on what you've seen so far?
Moving between her and Hope, this revelry that has been created. I mean, certainly a type of madness. There's some sort of ocular capacity to it. Something that, when you watch it, latches on. But it doesn't seem to be a physical malady. It's fascinating. But I'm sure, like most other diseases, treatable in time.
And here she says, she approaches you. She's dressed as she often is in her sapphire blue bustle dress and a daytime hat, kind of covering half of her face. And of course, that big blue gem. She says, yes, I have been very, very interested in the power of things that can be seen. Things that can be seen with different eyes. And she presses a tintype photograph into your hand. Probably something she took with the Whately camera. The clue, whenever you get ready to answer this mastermind question, you can say what's on the photograph at that time, but for now, it's hidden from the audience. Next session, we will work out what is Theodora Brathwaite up to. For now, I think the two of you have had quite a busy afternoon. Let's check in with Lord Grey. Lord Grey, how do you get these weird cultists off your case?
I think after he has sort of stopped them, he does this thing that he does at parties where he makes everyone kind of follow him as he talks visually. Like he'll move real subtly just to make sure the party's paying attention to him. Not so much now that he's a hunter, but he's still got it. And he's still talking about how it's actually mostly insulting the king in shadows, almost daring them to defend him verbally. Like, and every time they get a little closer, he takes a step back and it looks like a dance as he like tries to get out of the circle of these people. It's absolutely like the most reckless shit that he could possibly be doing, because as he's trying to clear a way out of the circle, he is getting closer to all these people with knives.
And I guess they just, I mean, do they just fall away? Are they just like,
I think it's
like
I think what happens is he turns towards these people in the back and he looks them up and down. He's like, "You know you're beneath me. If anyone's going to talk to me, it's going to be your god. All right? I don't
and
deal with you."
they slink back, and you can hear them muttering to each other. You hear the words heresy from time, or kind of the words heresy. You hear the word upstart. You hear the word fool. But they slink away into the shadows.
He wipes the blood off and puts it back in his bag. Kind of pissed that he had to do this. But also, frankly, he's kind of feeling himself because he didn't get murdered. And he did it all by himself, all by his little self. He may or may not brag to Langfisk about this later, but right now he's actually like looking for where the fuck he is and where Nox and Hope are.
That's the thing. I think we'll probably say that the group has been sufficiently waylaid to where we will not be able to get to Bedlam today.
Hell yeah.
If you wish to go back tonight, we can start your night phase in Bedlam, certainly. Or if you wish, we can say your characters made their way to Bedlam at night. That would be great.
It's fun.
But for now, I want to start transitioning into our desk phase, or start transitioning tonight with the desk phase. Very eventful day, I would say. Lots of secrets and things revealed. Things about Hargrave House, things about Mrs. Brathwaite's plans. Let's talk about who has moves that fire off in the dusk phase. Does anybody?
Me.
What do you got?
I've got Resurrectionist and I've got Night Work.
Night work. Yeah.
Night Work feels so odd at this point in the game. Not because I don't love Night Work, but because
Sometimes it's just not the right move. Yeah.
yeah, I don't think we're gonna do Night Work. We will send the Resurrectionist out and we'll let them pick up some other weird thing in the night and let let Chad define on his next session and prevent any sort of blowback at this point in time, I think.
I love it. I love it.
I did. Somebody asked me if I'd ever picked a thing. I picked the bucket of rings. I loved the ear with an earring still on it, but the idea of just a bucket full of wedding rings is very enjoyable.
That's pretty good. Yeah. Let's paint the scene about Hargrave House. This paint the scene is going to be about that subterranean space beneath the house, even though Lord Grey and Nox are unaware of it, as far as we know. We're going to paint the scene about it. This is historically where the hunters of Hargrave House this was a prison. They used it to trap particularly powerful creatures and objects and entities that were not otherwise able to be destroyed, but just needed to be contained. This is something that Hargrave House has done going back as far as the 14th century, when Hargrave House was just a pile of stones in London, which was itself barely more than a pile of stones. What do we see in the subterranean space, or perhaps what does Septimus see, that indicates it is a prison?
Easy enough. There is a skull latched onto bars it tried to gnaw at.
There is a long, slow-flowing liquid in a divot that leads into a foul-smelling pool coming out of each of the cells.
I think there are sets of shackles attached to walls, some of them larger or smaller than others. They're clearly custom. And one has been fully ripped from the walls, taking the stone with it.
Fantastic. Septimus, while you're down there, the lurker will point out the true entrance and exit of this space, not the crack in the basement wall. The true entrance. You actually have to go, you have to navigate the caves for a bit, which occasionally loop into being masoned tunnels, subterranean tunnels, but all of it parts, like stuff that the city doesn't use anymore, abandoned. And when you come out of the entrance, when you go back up to the surface, after wandering with the lurker for a time, you're outside of the city. And there's just a man in a black carriage sitting there, very old, and he has a lantern on a hook. And he says, "Will you be needing me tonight?"
It depends. Are you offering transportation back to Hargrave House?
Yes, I can.
Then yes, it would be greatly appreciated.
And you can get into the carriage, this kind of old looking carriage, stylized, or stylistically, it's a little, I mean, it's covered, it's nice, but it's not, it's of a type you haven't seen in a long time. And he'll take you back into the city.
Great, fantastic. Not terrifying at all.
Let's keep going with Dusk Phase. The character keeper is not currently. Oh yeah, it is. Never mind. Hold on. We did paint the scene. What's everyone doing tonight? Let's go around the table. Lord Grey, what's your thoughts for this night phase?
Oh, baby, we're going to Bedlam.
Bedlam,
I'm
very good.
pissed. I'm pissed at this King in Shadows, motherfucker. I'm gonna grill someone about him at this point. He's trying to steal my limelight.
Dr. Spectum, what are you doing? Are you leaving Hope at home and going out, or what?
I mean, that would be the smart thing to do, but I think we've already established I'm not as aware of what is happening as I should be, and I'm making poor parental decisions about where I am taking my new child. And so we are probably just continuing to Bedlam.
Fantastic. So the two of you are going to end up in Bedlam. That's great. Um, Septimus, do you want to deal with the creature from Grimward Gardens?
That's exactly what I was gonna do.
Sit down and give a fish the talk.
The talk, I love it. Just so I know, so I can prepare the scene. What's your approach going to be with the creature? I mean, in broad terms. Oh, you read
I didn't click the mute. Try to persuade it to go somewhere else, or at least say, "Hey, love's not here."
it. Very good.
Very
Okay, I
politely.
love it. Very politely, I love it. Also, I think you owe at least one and possibly two Janus masks. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Be thinking about that because I think I'd like to probably end the session with that. Like once we're done with the night phase,
Yeah,
just
totally.
to see some more
Rad. I think we
Septimus.
all owe masks, so that'd be pretty cool.
Oh, do you? Oh, yeah,
Yes, I
yeah. So
also
yeah,
owe
we
one.
can.
I owe one
Yeah, we
from
kind of end.
yeah, I owe one from
From
last
last.
time.
Yeah, we.
Okay,
from
good.
last
I'd love
time.
to do it at the arrival of Bedlam because I've got a good little bit.
Okay, well, yeah,
Ooh.
that's perfect. You can do it then too. That works for me. Fantastic. And let's talk about the unseen. Tonight's unseen is going to be. Ooh, what do we want? Let's do. I'm trying to think thematically what would be a good fit. Let's do the night shift at St. Thomas's. Two different hospitals tonight. Sitting across the Thames, this is on the first row, by the way. Sitting across the Thames from the Palace of Westminster, St. Thomas's Hospital is London's newest hospital, purpose-built to the most modern standards of medicine. It consists of sprawling wings joined by covered walkways, allowing convalescent patients to take the air during the day. But at night, a skeleton crew struggle to save their charges from the illness, accidents, and violence that stalk the gloom. The first prompt is going to be for Ben. The second prompt is going to be for B. The third will be for Tony. And everyone does the fourth prompt. I think to prep for this, I think a 10-minute break would be great to
Great,
get ready
yeah.
for this night phase.
Sounds
Yeah.
good. We'll be back in just a few minutes to keep on playing the between. Vroom, vroom. And we are back for the night phase in the between.
St. Thomas's. Finn. A destitute woman is in the throes of a complicated birth, a porter holding her down while a surgeon prepares to operate. How do we know the child will never meet their birth mother?
It is a sight to behold in the worst way possible. There is a holy person praying while her body just writhes and stretches, uh, most likely in its death throes while they operate to at least have the child survive. Eventually, the room goes quiet, and as one voice decrescendos, another crescendos, and it is a sign of life in the moments of a preventable death.
Tony, how is reality distorting in the background?
You told us you were going to do this right beforehand. um, I think as we see this happen, the person, the holy person praying down there, uh, the the color of their robes shift to a bright, vivid red as the symbols of the king in shadows are laced into the stitching in an ornate gold.
Let me paint a picture for you of the city of London right now, this night. We've already seen in the day how everyone feels like they're coming undone just a little bit, and at night it's even worse. The performances have kicked into overdrive. There are performers on every corner. There are children being allowed to run around in the middle of the night with no one looking after them or insisting that they go to bed or whatever kids are supposed to do. There are vagrants singing in the streets, arm in arm with genteel mothers and governesses. There are people roaming around with their fish masks because they haven't forgotten about the creature. There are other people wearing false face masks, masks made of wood or rubber, in order to trick Sally No Face. Septimus, you have the job of trying to make contact with the actual creature of Cremorne Gardens. You can be down at Chelsea Harbor near near Cremorne Gardens, which is where the creature's frequently been spotted. How will you use the knowledge that it's looking for companionship to draw it to you so that you can then deal with it?
I don't know if fish have pheromones. We can talk about this later. But I think beyond like the fish mask, they have coated themselves in like various oils and scales to probably evoke it or at least try to make something fish humanoid, maybe some perfume. Maybe they went by Gray's room on the way out. Who knows? We're all borrowing from Lord Bastion tonight.
Are you
Uh,
wading into the water?
yes, got my little feet kicking.
Very good. Let us speak of Bethlehem Royal Hospital. Oh. Here's the funny thing about Bethlehem right now. The city, the city is so noisy and chaotic and out of control right now, or very, very ready to burst out of control. And perhaps to your surprise, Bedlam right now is empty and calm. You see numerous corridors. Perhaps you expected to find porters or nurses going back and forth. Perhaps you expected to hear the howling and gibbering of patients in their cells. It's quiet and it seems very empty. Let's paint the scene, everyone. Precisely because the king in shadows and his handmaidens, Sally and the creature of Grimworn Gardens, are causing madness to stalk the streets, the patients are quiet, as if they are listening or watching, as if they are the audience of this show. Perhaps. And yet, what do we hear in the silence that makes you fear exploring deeper within the hospital?
Far, 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 far away, possibly down the halls or another level, but it's so quiet you can hear it. It's the scratching of like mice feet against the wood or through the walls.
I think in the silence, there's almost that soft ring that you get in a silent room. But the ring very quickly turns into this just, you could almost understand the whispers just if you got a little closer. But anybody who's worth their salt as a hunter knows that that's really, really bad.
All of a sudden, as these noises pause for just a moment, Hope lets out the most high pitched giggle and starts laughing at the like top of her lungs before then immediately falling silent again.
I love it. Knox, before we return to St. Thomas's, give us your Janus mask.
Knocks at the door as the door to Bedlam is kind of opened. Had initially kind of knocked to open it, and we see then another hand knocking on a door as we see a young Knox holding some candy and a balloon, being at some other medical facility. We can't quite make out what it is, but it's very obviously a medical facility. Charles knocks on the door. A small slit opens. Face inside looks at him. He flashes at something inside of his pocket. The door is opened, and he palms the gentleman on the other side a pretty substantial amount of money. They're led down a hallway. Knox is giddy with anticipation. Charles is very obvious that he is hesitant to do this, but they make their way deep down into a room filled with bodies as Charles takes Knox to his very first morgue. Curious about death after his father, they show him how a body is prepared for death and what happens afterwards as he looks on with rapacious anticipation for the work that's in front of them.
I love it. B, in the casualty waiting room, the experienced ward sister Mary O'Brien triages the sick and wounded. Who does she see? Will they live or die?
We go from this quiet place of a morgue to the chaos of a waiting room in St. Thomas's Hospital. And we see this experienced ward mother moving from person to person. We see somebody in the seat against the wall, their head down, not moving. They have already died. We see another person with a head wound, clutching it like they've been hit by a blunt object. The ward sister observes them, bandages them. They will die. We see another person. This is a father and a child. And the child clutches the father's arm as he has clearly been injured in some sort of workplace accident. His leg absolutely mangled. He will die. Every single person there, she hopes and is praying over them softly, and it feels like last rites, because tonight, everyone in the waiting room at St. Thomas's Hospital will die.
Tim. Cremwood Gardens it's fucking chaos. You can hear it in the background. It's getting quieter and quieter as you wade into the water, as you get further away from it. But the music is thunderous, it's cacophonous, and it's discordant. It's not even clear that they're playing like actual, pieces of music. The dancing is frenzied, full of stomping and hollering. It has a wildness. It lacks the grace and the good humor that can normally be found here at night. Screams of joy, of terror, of ecstasy, unclear, but there are many. But all of that fades away. It drops away when you hear from a little small mound island in the river, you hear a song being sung, cutting through the moonlight. It is a sorrowful song. How does it make you feel, or what do you experience?
Knowing that he's on a mission, automatically, not necessarily understanding beyond the emotion, is harmonizing with the song.
Do you keep
And it's
moving
just
closer to the
sort of
island?
Yes.
Yeah. You get to the banks of this little island and you see, hunched or sort of squatting on a rock, you see the creature. You see its scaly skin gleaming in the moonlight. You can see its head lifted up and its circular, toothy maw open wide as this song stretches out of it into the air. Its eyes have a yellow wildness. They're yellow and they're alien looking. They don't look like human eyes. And yet, despite the horrific appearance of the creature, how can you tell that it is a creature that has suffered?
I think there's like an ombre of scars. Like from the limbs, seem very, shoulders and joints are very natural, and then you get to like the barbs and scratches from possibly spears, hooks, anything that's tried to catch it. It's just get worse and worse as the body extends.
What do you do?
They still are very slow, very careful. I think they died down as he starts to observe the creature, and at some point, or they assume they're in eyesight, just stand perfectly still.
Lord Grey. Nox and Lord Grey, do you get separated from one another in these halls of Bedlam, or are you trying to stick together?
If it's as calm as described, I think probably together.
Very well. You know who you're looking for. You're looking for two patients who have been admitted in connection with these events. The first is Hypatia Quint, an artist who has seen the play, and Larkin Creel, who wrote a scathing review of the play. So you can probably search maybe like placards or information, little like, information cards outside of the various cell doors to try to locate them. Maybe you can call for them. Maybe you can search in some other, you can investigate in some other way.
Say,
but
this
what
is
do you
this
do?
is this is a medical facility.
It is, yeah.
So I mean, if there is no one behind the desk, I'm going to just go behind and
Yeah,
look.
there's a lack of staff. There's kind of no one around. Yeah.
I'm just going to go to the registry room, whether that's a desk or a separated, partitioned area, and just look
Yeah.
for the information.
Yeah. I think you can find out where their rooms are pretty easily. Then what?
B, I'll let you lead here. Do you have one that's more
Okay.
interesting to you to talk to?
I honestly think both are very interesting angles. I think Lord Grey wants the person who will give him the most information about this motherfucker. Kind of assumes that maybe the person who was able to write a scathing review had the cognizant ability to do so instead of just being this sycophant to the king in shadows. That is kind of appealing to him, mostly because he wants to cause this person a problem.
So-
But
Yeah, no, I think Larkin
also,
sounds great. Yeah, creepy
Larkin sounds good.
artist is always fun. But yeah, Larkin. Let's start with Larkin.
yes, I think actually, as you're going through these records, Bastion's like, so do you want to each question one? I'm not sure with your child here. What this whole, should you have really brought her for an interrogation?
I mean, I just thought it would be a nice outing. We're
No.
I mean,
Nice.
I didn't realize
Well,
it would
it's an
take so long to
experience.
get here.
This is fair. I also didn't think we would get sidetracked like this, but I wanted to offer. Would you like to do one and I the other, or together? You seem to know your way around this place, but
Let's
Sure, we both know how to
let's
talk.
start with Larkin. If they're
all right.
So we'll go make our way to towards Larkin's room.
You get to the hall outside of Larkin's room, and you see at the end of the hall what appears to be the first staff member you've spotted the whole time you've been here.
This place is a mess.
It's a doctor of some sort wearing a long white coat. They're facing away, apparently looking at some papers or something on the wall that they're facing. What do you do?
Sir?
There's no
Doctor.
reply. There's no reply.
Is he between us in the room?
No, just at the end of the hall. You don't even have to interact with them.
I'll make my way to the door.
You'll see that this is Larkin Creel's room. The door is ajar.
I immediately, out loud, Lord Grey says, "This is the most poorly managed place I've ever seen. My God."
I've been here on occasion. I must admit it's eerily calm, but also worse than normal.
Oh, fabulous. Of course it is. Of course it is. Why wouldn't it be?
Do you go inside?
Open the door, yeah.
Absolutely.
It's perfectly dark inside the room.
Cool.
There's just a single shaft of moonlight coming in from the high window. Mr. Creel is in the corner, though you can't see him very well before you can hear him. Oh, oh, What do you do?
Does Nox do anything immediately?
Um,
I don't want to like just.
no, go ahead. Yeah, hop in.
I think he just really loudly clears his throat. Just. If that doesn't get anything, he fucking knocks like loudly on the wall.
They scramble into the moonlight, Larkin Creel does, and you can see
There we are.
that he has very tangled, dirty hair with a shock of white in it, and most straitjacket, perhaps most strikingly, he has a half and half sock and buskin facial deformity, meaning one half of his face is twisted up like a smile, and the other is twisted down like a frown.
That's good.
And I would like for Lord Gray, since you made the move to get his attention, I want you to make the night move. What do you afraid is going to happen right now if you lose your nerve?
I'm afraid that this guy's going to be openly hostile and completely useless.
I think it's worse than that. You will also discover a beat too late that this is a trap.
Fuck yeah. Oh no.
You can leave. You can turn around if you don't want to do the roll. But if you want to do the roll,
I'm gonna do it.
It is absolutely composure, and I think because he's in my head, I'm going to put you at disadvantage.
Let's do it, y'all. Let's do it. All right. That's my composure. I'm gonna use 3 dice instead of rolling multiple times. That would make a lot more sense. All right, the 2 lowest. You're never gonna believe this. It's a fucking 10.
A 10. Very good.
Oh my god.
Let's cut back
First
over
good roll.
to St. Thomas's. Tony, the young nurse Agnes Pell, walks the TB ward, silent but for the labored breathing and hacking coughs of her charges. Who do we see amongst the gaunt, pale patients that shows death respects neither age nor rank?
As we hear the muffled coughs and heavy breathing, the cacophony of bodies moving on bad mattresses, we see a sea. In the sea of darkness, we see one island of light, a form bent over. At first, it sounds like whispering something until we realize that it's a song, a chant. Lord Melbourne, Queen Victoria's, one of Queen Victoria's consuls, is hunched over a sleeping form, feverish, gaunt. Have mercy on me, God, in your goodness. In your compassion, blot out my offense. Please, 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 don't let her die. Please, don't take her from me.
B, how is reality distorting in the background?
I think the song, we can actually see it. We can actually see the waves of it. If the music was translated into math and the math was translated into physics, and it affected the reality around them like oil on a road, it warps the air.
Fantastic. Tim, the creature is looking at you. Its eyes are kind of more on the side of its head, so it has to kind of like turn its head just a little bit to get a good look at you. You can see now the sort of gills flapping in and out on the sides of its face. You can see that there's a steady dribble of river water running through its maw. But it is not in a hostile way. It's approaching you. It kind of like gets down from its rock, and you can see as it moves, it has a gingerness in its movements, probably because of the injuries you've described. And it reaches out a webbed hand to just gently caress your masked face. What do you do?
Again, no sudden movements. Let it be as curious as it wants, within reason. Parentheses. It's more just watching the creature and just gauging. If this is going to be like, when is it going to turn sour? Hopefully it doesn't, but
Well,
for now, just
I think the question is, you said you were going to try to convince it to just move along, that it's not going to
Yeah.
find love here. I think basically I just need to know how you're going to do that, and then we'll see if we'll do a die roll to see if you're successful, essentially.
Okay. I'm looking at my moves. See if I can get silly. You guys, I thought of something silly. I would like to use the rite of salt and smoke.
Okay.
My talent is Christian perversion.
Okay.
I want to pull a Genesis and try to make a body or a mannequin or replicate out of the soil on the island.
Yes. Very good. As a like, here,
Sunday
take this
school.
instead.
Yeah.
Yes.
I can't pull a rib out,
from
but
the rib, yeah, the fishbone rib. I love it. Just give me a little bit of that scene. Like, what does that look like? Are you working on it together? Is it like or is it just watching you? Like, what's happening here?
I think it's more of a watch, and what she does is take off the mask and let that be the guiding portion of the head, and start carving into the ground and scraping off this flecks of like bone and fish bits and secretions, and maybe scratching along hard enough to add some blood into the mixture. And just trying to match the proportions one for one. Because remember, we found Tim's little drawing journal, whatever. So accomplished enough to at least make an outline.
I love it. Fantastic. We'll come back to this in a moment. Lord Grey, you have Larkin Creel's attention. He's no danger to you. He's in a straitjacket. He has this very bizarre facial deformity that makes his face look like a comedy and tragedy mask, but like half and half. One half comedy, one half tragedy. What do you do?
I mean, there is a pause as he looks at him and wonders if he's always been like that or if this is some other King in Shadows bullshit. Realizes he doesn't care enough to ask and just walks into the dark room to get really close to Larkin. And I don't know what Nox Godspeed, I don't know what you're doing right now.
What are you doing, Nox?
Is there a medical charter record inside the door?
No, I don't think there is, but you will hear that other doctor down the hall say, and it's a woman's voice.
Oh no.
You'll hear, "There, there, there. There's no need to be frightened. That's right. Very good. See, you can barely feel anything at all."
As I immediately whip around, I'm pretty sure the door gets slammed shut by how quickly I hop out into the hallway.
You can see another open doorway down the hall of where this doctor is in. You can't tell what's going on, but you can tell that that's where they're at, in this other room. What do you do?
I immediately head that way.
You can quickly glance that this is the room of Hypatia Quint. Ms. Quint has the same facial deformity as Larkin Creel, and I'm going to now make that a clue. The facial deformity is a clue.
Yay! Look at us.
So you did learn something. She is currently strapped to a gurney, and Sally No Face is cutting to remove that very intriguing face. What do you do?
Honestly, I don't think Nox cannot stop and wait slightly too long to see what technique she is using.
Oh, she's so good. She is a wizard with a scalpel. She's so good that Hypatia doesn't even feel the incision at first. She cuts so clean that there's not even a line of blood at first before she's able to get several inches before it even starts to bleed. And she's making her cut. You can see her hands. They move with a dexterity, with a lightness, with a nimbleness. If the rumors about her being a surgeon of some sort are true, then she would have been the best surgeon. And the whole time, she's speaking soothing words to Hypatia behind her wooden mask. "Yes, yes, yes. You see, there's no trouble at all. I'm very, very good at what I do. And you have one of the most interesting faces I've ever seen. I consider myself something of a collector of faces." And she's just going on like this as she's getting ready to remove.
I say, where did you study?
There's a pause. "I didn't realize there was someone else in the operating theater with me."
I mean, what else is a theater for if not for observation?
She removes the scalpel from underneath the facial epidermis of Ms. Quint, and she gives it a flick, causing a little spray of blood to hit the tile. "I don't like for my work to be disrupted." She's still facing away from you.
I didn't ask you to stop.
"Oh, really? Well, come closer then."
He's going to close the door behind him, dumbly leaving Hope in the hallway, but also imagining that is probably the best choice at this moment in time. And move closer.
It is a thing of beauty. Do you watch it? Do you watch her do the surgery?
Oh, yeah. I mean, he gets close. I mean, like, he is moving around.
She goes up the jawbone. She actually gets the ear. She goes around the ear and back up the scalp, right along the hairline. She's going through. Hypatia, she's not anesthetized or anything. but she's not wailing loudly. She is doing that kind of weird half laugh, half moan thing that poor Larkin was doing, just sort of
If
as the scalpel continues tracing its way, and she's getting down the other side, and every now and then she stops to insert a flat piece of metal to help separate the skin from the muscle, and she does so gently. You can hear just the gentle kind of squeaky tearing of flesh and muscle as she gradually loosens the face. And the whole time she's kind of talking about her technique, and she's sort of, she's extolling, she loves what she does. I mean, we
we all love it, right? We're all
we love an
excited over
artist,
this.
right? I mean, and she's doing her thing, and we're going to go to our last trip at St. Thomas's. Everyone, please paint the scene. As dawn begins to break, how do we see the staff dealing with the stress of the night before, knowing they will be back again soon?
It's a hospital. Yes, it's a hospital, but those hallways leading out are filled with smoke, pipes, cigars, what have you, just to relax and de-stress and then get ready for another night.
I think we actually hear laughter from some of the staff because they're cracking some pretty poor taste jokes, but it's gallows humor. It's at their own expense. It's the stress response of people who are in life or death situations all the time, because this is every night for them. And they're going to have to come back to this again and again and again.
We see someone on the edge of the woods outside Bethlehem and the walking greens behind. A hand reaches out for their shoulder, silhouetted in the moonlight. There's a moment of terror before they turn around, giggle, and start deeply kissing the person, leaning their head back in ecstasy as they kiss down their body, drool gently coming out the side of their mouth as they fall into the grass as the sun comes up over the horizon.
Fantastic. We're not going to see how reality distorts for this time, except to say that you all would have noticed before the moon left the sky, it had a single streak of red tracing its way down the silvery surface. This is going to be the night move. Septimus with, I think it's actually sensitivity. Oh no, you're doing Rites of Salt and Smoke. Never mind. Rites of Salt and Smoke is going to be with
It's sensitivity.
Sensitivity, and let's have the roll. Let's see how it goes.
Now, am I rolling double negatives again because I did kind of max out on my conditions, or how?
No.
Okay.
No, regular dice.
All right.
Regular dice.
I
regular
have
dice.
flashbacks. I
Regular
do
dice.
want to use one of my items.
Mhm.
I would like to use the crystal decanter with eyeballs and put eyeballs on either side of the mask.
I love it. It's very good. Let's do the thing.
All right.
Roll with
That'll
advantage.
just be a +1. Okay, advantage. Cool.
It's
cool, cool,
3 dice. Yeah, and take the 2 highest.
Ooh, take money now. Whammies. Oh. I was too excited. That is a 12.
Nice. Just give us the rest of the scene.
Terrifying.
How does it work? How do you get, what does it look like when you are able to finally convince the creature to leave? And then what does it look like when it does?
I think what happens is as he breathes life into this form, not necessarily kissing the creature, but the mask itself, it's a flurry of paper scales inhabiting the space and like filling out in volume and almost breathing very mechanical. It won't last, but it's enough to like swim further on. And unfortunately, the creature will be alone again, but at least it'll have some companionship out of London.
And I assume this was the to uh, bar a place, like bar London, yeah,
Yeah.
from or bar the creature from London. That's good. Lord Grey, you're stuck in the room with Larkin Creel.
Motherfucker. Nox leaving me alone.
Also,
Larkin Creel.
I slammed the door.
Larkin Creel gains lucidity just enough to say to you through his twisted mouth, Lord Grey, I know what you did.
Excuse me?
I know what you did. To the person you fell in love with. I saw it all. And I can see you for what you are. The king shows us all.
Oh. I grab him by the fucking part of his straitjacket that's like right here. I grab him by the front of his straitjacket and I pull him close enough that I am right by his face. Your king is nothing compared to me. And I take the Holy Grail out of my bag and I just waylay it into his head over and over and over again until he is, I think it's overkill. It's probably the most overkill that he is physically capable of.
I
And
love
he
it.
just drops him on the ground. And this is taketh away.
I love it. Scar your reflection, roll with vitality.
And I'm gonna mark the Holy Grail
For advantage.
for
Yeah, go
advantage.
for it.
This is what I was saving it for. Maybe not this exactly, but this was the vision. All right. I'm with vitality. Yes. That is an 8, baby.
You get one from the list. What do you want?
I want to take something from him.
Oh,
I
very
don't know what
good.
this man has, but I want, even if it's just like I take a piece of it as a trophy, because I feel it's an affront to the King in Shadows if I take a part of his one of his shitty little followers.
I love it. Decide what you want that to be, and then you'll add it to your personal quarters. Let's check in with Nox. Nox, if you watch the surgery to its completion, I will let you roll the information move for Sally.
I mean, I absolutely do. That's everything I'm here for.
Go ahead and roll the information move. Oh, alternatively, I suppose you could do beneath the skin. I mean, Hypatia's not dead, but she's on her way to being dead.
Let's take a look real quick. Let's see, beneath the skin, how does this person die? um, I mean, beneath the skin is fun because essentially I could probably, potentially get two Sally
You're literally looking beneath her skin.
Yeah.
Sally lifts her face off of her.
Yeah, let's start with what would an untrained eye overlook here?
What would an untrained eye overlook here? This is going to be a Sally no face clue.
Yeah.
And the clue has to do with. Oh. Da, 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 da. The clue is that we know already that there's like poison involved in this.
Yeah.
And what you'll notice is there is a little vial of it on her little workspace. And it looks like it could just be any other, it could be like alcohol or something like that, but it's not. It's actually a decoction of poisonous oleander. That's the actual, that's your clue. But the other question, how did she die? It actually wasn't the oleander that killed her. What killed her, you're getting a King in Shadows clue.
Ooh.
What kills her, she gave a terrible performance.
What's her name again? Hypatia?
Hypatia Quint. I would like to know how do you experience that or come to that conclusion that she gave a terrible performance and the King in Shadows has deemed her unworthy.
I think there's a moment as Sally is finishing, and we can tell that the moaning and the laughing noises kind of subside, and there's a moment of detached clarity. It's not clear who Hypatia is talking to at this moment. She's looking through Sally and Knox. It's something past them. But I did my best. I tried my hardest. You said it would be enough. Why are you changing your mind now? As the life drains out of her.
Sally takes the new face, and because it's very sticky and wet, she's able to adhere it to her wooden mask like a sticker. Just this has been lovely. And she turns and leaves. And that will conclude the night phase for tonight. Pretty productive. A lot of clues. Resolved a mystery or a threat. Love all that. Why don't we, if you're all ready, if anybody's ready to do Janus Mask, let's do that now, and then we'll do end of session or the dawn phase. Who wants to go first? If anyone, you can save it till next time.
I'll rip this band-aid. I'm gonna do a mask of the past. Let me go close to the screen because my people's narrate a flashback to a time where you were in your mother's womb that shows even then dark entities were interested in you. Easy. As we see Tim kind of like spun back to shore to the rest of the Grimmer Gardens, this same green brackish fluid drops on a normally pristine floor as a woman is crying. She is ambling towards a bed and holding her stomach the best she could while her maids are ushering her and trying to prepare the space for the doctor and such. This child has been inside for an extra week, a whole 7 days, and it's been a concern for everyone. And while there is mixed excitement for the young lord, the mother seems to be straining extremely hard. She is praying. She's asking for her husband, who happens to be on a missionary trip. And as the procedure continues, they're just practically awaiting the arrival of Septimus. And despite the hoopla and the urgency, what happens is we see a pair, or at least small horizons or mountains in the woman's stomach. And she is screaming even louder as these claws seem more pronounced, and the body stretches and eventually perforates the skin and muscle and claws its way out. Not a child, but a monster with flaming eyes. And as the mother finally gives birth, she is in blood and tears and withering. And as she fades, so does this possession of a newborn child. And now the child is awake, breathing, crying, but everyone is horrified and disgusted by the monster that has killed the lady of the house.
Fantastic. Thank you. Anyone else?
I do have one. This is actually a mask of the future. And I think it, if you'll permit me, Keeper, it is later that night at Hargrave House. No, not at Hargrave House. Wherever his portrait is kept, where the masterpiece is kept. And he's sitting up there, and he's dismissed the guards. But he has Mercutio. He's Geekat. He has not changed clothes. Still covered in blood. Mercutio doesn't seem to care. He's a cat. And he's talking to him. He's petting his little bald head, fiddling with his little bejeweled collar, as Mercutio just... Sometimes I think maybe he didn't deserve it. No, not Cecil, that little whiner. No, he deserved it. You know who I'm talking about. And, well, meh. He's like replying to him. This is clearly a thing they do. And it almost like Mercutio kind of gives him a look because he stops petting him for a second. And he's just, don't look at me like that. You know what I mean. I could have done things differently. Maybe he could have been like me too. He was almost worth it. Right? He was almost worth it. And I think we hear a footstep. And it's one of my followers. And I look at them. Say, did you hear any of that? And of course, they don't have to lie to me. They can't lie to me, really. And they nod. He says, take care of yourself. And they say, how? And he says, I don't care. You know how. And they walk out of the room. And we hear some rattling in a drawer. Under the purrs of Mercutio, a quick and a thunk on the floor. And he sighs, and it's always messy, isn't it? I really should give them clearer instructions. Oh well.
How did the painting change when you killed Larkin Creel?
I think it's actually the reality there has warped a little bit. And the skin on the portrait is translucent, and you can see his skull now. It is like, it's grotesque. It's even more so than it was.
Anyone else? Thank you. Very well. Let's go to our dawn phase. And we'll start with, let's see here. We do have resurrectionists. We'll resolve that next time. I guess we just go straight to Dawn questions then. Did the hunters answer a question, capital Q? No. You did resolve a threat, however, so everybody gets credit for that one. I think everyone did echoes, but if anyone is not sure if they did, uh, Vin, you definitely did one at the end there with the birth and the the birth in the beginning of the thing. Um, so let's go to the individual questions then. Dr. Spectum, did you have a conversation with the child while no one was looking? Probably.
Not explicitly. We were making coffee before everybody came in, but it was really, you know.
Did you show physical affection toward the child while someone else was looking? Yes, you definitely
Yeah.
did that. Did you teach the child a lesson about what it means to be human? Yes, you did that. Lord Grey, did you express a clear preference for the beautiful over the mundane? Yes, you did that a lot today.
Listen, we always do it every day.
And you also made people pay the price as well, for touching you, particularly Larkin Creel.
Oh yeah.
And Tim Redding, did you have a face-to-face encounter with the dark entity? Loads of them, in fact. Did you make love to a human in order to forget the darkness?
I was too busy.
Indeed. Fantastic. Everyone go ahead and take your XP and mark New Dawn questions if you wish. And I think that's pretty much all we have to do. Let's just have a quick stars and wishes, or yeah, stars. That's what we call it, stars and wishes. Really, really fantastic, fun, action-packed, lore-packed session. I had a good time. I can feel like we're getting close to the final conclusion of everything. It's all kind of like coming to a head. We're going to find out exactly what is coming to a head in the sessions to come, but I'm really, really excited about it. And so, yeah, my big star is just, I was a really fun time back. I'm sad we didn't have Wes, but I was really happy that that everybody else was here, and it was good.
Jason, you like, especially when we have catch up sessions, like when we've had a couple weeks off, there's different ways you usher people in. You bring us in. It's always a little bit different. It's really intentional though, both for catching you and other people up. I really enjoyed. I've enjoyed all of them, but like this one felt really good. Just like the player facing conversations. How do we want to do things? Getting everybody kind of queued up. I think it models something really great to see somebody like just have those really intentional like player conversations around like, hey, what do we want to do? How do we want to do this? And it really made it very easy to pick back up just as a keeper piece and like super good. Uh, I also got to star Levi from chat. Like just keeping track of a number of like little small touches, including like when we forgot to warp reality the one time throwing one into the chat. Making sure keeping track of everybody's echoes as they went and chat. I mean, generally enjoyable as always, but that was a great one. Vin, that closing narration's so great, like such a visceral piece. I love that you wildly vacillate between like just short hyper punchy like expressions and then very extended like ones, and I never know what it's going to be, but it's always like super enjoyable. And then B, there, you had a lot of really just like great kind of like standout bits, but again, it was really fun to actually be in a scene from you. Like I love when our characters like explicitly get a chance to hang out, which has been very rare, but like it is neither of us are saying the things that we mean while both simultaneously understanding what the other one wants, and it's a super fun thing to do as players, but also it's really enjoyable to have characters who can kind of play in that space also too. Also just like way to continually beat the shit out of people with the Holy Grail. The entire group like really interesting kind of naturally emergent like just heavy biblical draws tonight like as a whole, but like really enjoyable and deeper than normal just surface. It was super fun to just kind of watch the like the Leviathan-esque fishman, let's form a body out of clay, like such a like strong move that kind of just beat up against a lot of the other things that we were doing also too. So yeah, super excited. I wish Wes will be back next week also.
Yeah, I have actual like stars, proper stars. I really yeah, the use of the Holy Grail was like it was really funny at times, but it was also really cool at times, and I thought it was particularly good at the end there. That was really enjoyable. Quite liked the all of the scenes with Hope were really fun, and it was fun to play that. It was fun to play off you, Tony, with that, and kind of, and it was so tonally interesting. I was trying to like do this like kind of like sweet but like slightly like unnerving tone as well because I still want it to be the between, you know.
Yeah.
And so that was really enjoyable, and I liked how you kind of were kind of like giving me back what I was giving, and so I really appreciated that. Um, yeah, Star for I really enjoyed. I kind of like Septimus has become like our character for sort of like exploring the boundaries of the setting in some really interesting ways. So like going into the Dream Sovereign's realm, going down below Hargrave House, meeting the Court of Wolves. So I'm just really happy that Septimus does all that. But also, yeah, I'll double star for the Janus Mass narration at the end. That was really really terrific. Also, just a very sweet scene with the creature. I really liked that, and the way you described like the creature's suffering and like and your empathy for the creature. I thought that was really good. Um, just really really yeah really quite enjoyable. And yeah, overall, this is a really, really strong session, and it sang with so many themes of like birth and creation, like creation of life, um, and so that was a really interesting like side note thing, or like or a sort of theme that ran through it all, which was really quite cool. So yeah. Oh, also, there's this idea, this other little theme running through of like vision and seeing things. That was really
It
intriguing
was fun
because
too,
even
yeah.
yeah, because even Sally did it at the end, right? Because she started looking at everything through Hypatia's face, right? When she put the face on there, right? Like there was like so many little like nods to this, and I'm dying to know what's in the picture that Theodora gave you, right? Because I feel like it's going to be the linchpin of whatever the solution is to the Theodora problem, or to the Theodora situation. So really excited to have that conversation. So that's a wish as well. But yeah, just really, really, really great all in all. And yeah, so no other thoughts.
All right. I just don't want to ever be like, I'm going to talk over someone because I'm so excited. So excited to tell you all how fabulous you are. Oh my goodness. This was a really cool way to jump back in after a break. And it's so like close to, it's like so close to a lot of stuff wrapping up this massive story arc. A lot of shit's going on. And I have to star Jason for you are constantly tying in all of the threats. Like bringing Sally No Face into Bedlam was, as soon as you said the doctor wasn't facing us, I was like,
I was like, yeah, it's Sally No Face.
and I was like so into that. I was like, yes, yes. And I was like, I know if we ignore her now, we're just going to get to have her more later. Like that's, and that also, she's another doctor. I'm gonna let Tony handle that. They can have their buddy. But like, I really, really love Jason, this pacing that you did tonight. It was really, really cool how you combine all these threats and then add old ones in, like having Tim go see the Limehouse Lurker and the Court of Wolves. That was like, you didn't have to do that. That was so cool. Like, because she never got to meet the Limehouse Lurker, and you're like, I know who's gonna like this little weirdo, our resident vessel. Like that's really really fun. This is it makes it feel like a very full world. It makes it feel like all of this stuff really is going on at once and not these disparate assignments. Like no, London is falling apart right now, fully 100%. And I really think you're really good at communicating that. And also I just love your NPCs. I love Sally No Face, like queen. I'd let her take my face. Don't judge me. Then I love Tim. You know this. I love how chill Tim is around monsters. Like around various entities, but in a way that has this rightful caution. It's like you understand how dangerous they are, but you're not gonna panic. Like because you deal with this shit all the time, you know? And it is a completely different perspective, I think, even from the other hunters. And it's really refreshing. You're this very sweet thing you did with the fish. I love that you were like, the way you use the rite of salt and smoke, that is like, I think, that is like a masterclass in how to use a move as a player creatively. Like, you were 100% worked within the text of it and did all the different bits, but it was completely like left field and super creative and worked perfectly for the situation. And that just like blew me away. I know you're like a super talented player and you're super fun to play with. And then sometimes I see you do mechanical stuff like that I'm like, wow, that's astounding. Like super, super, super cool way to solve that. Thanks for solving the fish problem while we all left to fuck off to go do other stuff, by the way. We just let you deal with that by yourself.
I owe you rewards for next time for that too, by the way. Don't let me forget. So.
Tim gets them all. But serious, like, and I love Septimus's backstory. I'm really excited to see because like that's really hardcore. That was really hardcore. And I'm so excited to see whatever we get to see in these last few. That's delicious. The not knowing is delicious. And the bits of information you're giving us that's really cool. Yeah, I'm super excited. Tony, your whole thing with Hope, I'm in love with this whole thing. This is such a good dynamic. That's a star for you and Jason. That's so sweet. It feels so natural. Like it's so in character for Knox to be kind of this like weird dad. He's like a weird dad because he's a weird guy. And Hope is also weird in a very similar way. And so I feel like they just kind of like, yeah, they vibe. Like the sweet teaching her to make her coffee and like this whole like taking her out on the town. And also I liked getting to be in these scenes with Knox. Like I like it. I have to second that. Like it is really fun to be in a scene with Knox as Bastion because it's like they're both morally, like we said this I was talking about this on the break with Tony. They're like almost morally similar, but Lord Grey's a worse person. Like he's just more of an asshole.
Also, you need to be ready to dress Hope every single time she appears in an episode for the first time. Just be prepared for that.
We will do. Oh, I will have outfits for her. And I think this is canon is that Bastion will just start getting outfits.
Oh no, that is yeah. I mean literally in character, but like, as a person. As a
yes,
player,
like as a person I'll be ready and he's going to be ready as well. And I really I 100% I love that. He has no affection for this girl, but she's gonna look good. But I also really love your interaction with Sally No Face. Like it's like what I was talking about with Tim, like this interaction with threats or monsters is very different because it's informed by how you are as a character. That interaction with Sally No Face is the most delicious choice you could have made. You want to watch her surgical like method. You want to learn because she is so talented. And well, I mean, this woman's face is already getting cut off anyway. She's already doing it. It's already happening. And frankly, this person's already kind of lost to the King in Shadows anyway. So like, what's the harm? What's the harm in talking shop with this big bad? Like it's so cool to see these two interact. Like it puts Knox in a completely different light than I think he usually gets to be in. Like he is like 2 steps away from being a threat himself. And it's really, really cool to see the mother played like that. Yeah, and just wish I'm excited for Wes to come back to whatever the fuck we all just did and see what Langfisk was doing in the meantime while we caused problems. And Tim solves them, caused some others. It's fine. It all balances out.
Me cause problems. No, who would do that? I'm gonna start throwing stars at people like shurikens. Jason, you are unmatched with these NPCs. I'm just in awe constantly in how everything just melds together and just works like clockwork. It didn't feel like we had much to catch up on because you were just on the track, ready to go and dragging us with us. Uh, Speaking of being dragged, I love Holy Grail murder. Uh, it just, I love Bastion so much. What a card! What a bitch! You know what to do. Oh, so messy. Uh, just just casual murder for this nasty, nasty man. He deserves it. Actually, what murder? Excuse me. Be your card. You know, what else can I say other than like my endless love and appreciation for you as a person and a player? Shit. No, this is my turn. My anyway, uh Tony, Hope, my baby. Uh so good. I will tell you, I admit at the beginning, I had no idea this man was going to be so paternal. And it worked out so great, but on the condition the child has to be just as weird. A little conversation with like the boiled hand and everything was very sweet and very tender. But also the conversation he was having with Gray and Tim, and just casually, oh yeah, the body parts haven't been out for this long, the blood's been in there for a hot minute, just that, like as if it was an everyday thing. Of course people build their own kids. Why not? um
It is
just so
literally
much.
for like he just hasn't said anything about it. It's like I don't think he's like I was being secret. It's just like wait, y'all didn't know I was doing this level of
Yes,
unaware.
it's just top notch. uh Same wish. Can't wait for Wes to be back with Langfisk. Can't wait to see Langfisk and Hope uh be a thing. Also, shout out to like Hope and like the entities was terrifying.
So
Like,
good. Such a great off the top move.
yeah, and a great segue to like going into like the prison, and I wouldn't have thought of that. Just wow, all around great session. Sad to see things coming to a close, but super excited to see where we head, especially with that blank tintype.
Some folks in chat clocked The Court of Wolves as that is one of the books that we're going to be doing crowdfunding in this between project is the alternate settings book Sons of Another World, which includes Ghosts of El Paso, Unsinkable, possibly a couple of other things, but it also includes Court of Wolves, which is the new setting that I'm writing, which takes place in 17th century France and Versailles and involves werewolves and Satanists. And so you all got just a little glimpse of that, a little hint of there is a connection to what I'm actually doing with that we saw in this session. So that was fun for me personally, just to throw that in there. So,
You know everybody loves the Brindleverse stuff you throw in
the
there. Like
Brindleverse,
everybody in
yeah.
chat here hungry for it.
Yeah, the Between Court of Wolves is going to be part of that third book, so
I'm
it's
so
really
excited
exciting.
about it.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty exciting.
I also loved getting to you like laying all those out, talking about art stuff the other day over on Twitter was such a fun thing to see. Like, here's all the stuff coming.
Here's all the things that we
Yeah.
need, and that I need art for. Stat, yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Also, Jason, I'll throw out the final like the one move, two different clues, two different mysteries thing right at the very end. Like, just did also a really good job of like bookending, like cementing, like this is all connected. I know we touched on that earlier, but it was like such a great, like automatic move, no roll, but like let's use that to bring these two things right next to each other. And so just absolutely loved it. But we got a lot of things going on. If you're going to be at Gen Con in a couple of weeks, come by, say hi. Me and Wes will be there. If you're not, we'll say hi another time. And it's totally reasonable to not go to large conventions at this time of year, this time of space, or ever because you just don't want to. Check out
Or ever if you're me.
check out everything great going on. If you want to check out the Emmy award-winning The Wassailing of Claus Manor, head on over to Plus One EXP. Check that out. But wait till tomorrow because we'll have a discount going up for Christmas in July. Good night, everybody.